Hi guys, welcome back to Dual Rule 16. I am your host Javon, and today we're back for a brand new benchmark. It's Stray Blade for the PC. Today I'm running this on my Intel Core i3-10105 with the AMD RX 600 8GB VRAM graphics card. I'm running with 16GB of DDR4 RAM in dual channel memory and, well, let's see. Alright, let's see the game. We're in game now and boy oh boy. That's not a good sign. So we start the game off and we realize to ourselves we are already in a bottleneck. I mean, I'm running everything on Ultra except for Shadows. We have Shadows set. Well, let's put that back to Ultra. And yeah, we're getting about 50 FPS. The CPU is a bottleneck, it would seem. This game requires an RX 800 XT to run the game at the recommended specs, which is crazy to me, but now that I'm playing the game like this, I can see that this game is absurdly crazy. It doesn't even look that great. I'm using 5GB of RAM. Now, yes, some things about this. I've never actually seen these settings like this before. It goes past Epic and it goes to Ultra, so these must be really intensive settings. So we're gonna be careful with that stuff. I'll leave textures on Ultra, but we will be dropping down some other things. Let's see what I can get away with dropping here without having to leave. Okay, so we can't change effects. We can't change effects in game. Effects will make you have to go back. But everything but effects we could, yeah, everything but effects we can change. That's fine. We can change anything but effects without having to restart the level. So let's leave it at that. So this is the Epic preset now. Yeah, it's still a CPU bottleneck. It's truly insane, if I'm being honest with you. Like, what about this is so demanding? You know, it's very confusing in that regard. Now, don't get me wrong, it looks good for what it is. It does. It definitely does look good, but I have to use the word optimization here. This just isn't right. It doesn't play right, is what I'm saying. You know, and I thought something like this would happen when I tested my integrated graphics. I would just say to myself, you know, it doesn't seem right. No matter how I looked at it, it just didn't seem like it was playing correctly. Now, you'll play this game fine, no issues. We're going to drop down to high in a second as well. We're going to go through all the settings, I believe, because there's probably one setting that's really affecting the CPU, which is probably shadows, because the shadows do look really good. I won't lie, the shadows do look really well. And they cover the entire area quite nicely. So I imagine shadows are really affecting the performance, but we'll see. We'll see what happens if I go right now. I'm gonna go to this area here, and then I'm going to go to the low settings right off the bat. We'll see how it performs. Because here, look, I can't even get 60 anymore. Okay, so we're looking from here. We're getting about 56. The highest was 56. We're gonna go to the low settings here and see what happens. Alright, so this is the low set. These are the low settings for the game. That's all it went up from the low settings. It was about 53, now it went up to 67. Like, what? That's all I get? So basically, what it's saying, it's definitely a bottleneck. The CPU is definitely a bottleneck. The GPU doesn't even seem to be that powerful because even when it hits 100%, there are issues. So, regardless, we probably should have done 1440p, is what I'm saying. Just to alleviate some of that CPU bottleneck. Because otherwise, I'm not sure what we would have done in this situation. Now, textures can stay, but as well as shading, but it's kind of a mixed bag here because at certain areas of the game, my GPU just won't reach any higher. It just can't. This, I should have done a 1440p. I made a mistake. But I wanted to talk about this one. That's why I chose to do this. Because I knew it was going to be crazy. But it definitely has issues. So you need to have a decent... If you have a powerful GPU, you need to have a decent CPU for it, apparently. Because this is Unreal Engine 4, so there are stutters as well. The frame rate isn't the best. I would cap the FPS to 60, but you might not even be able to get 60 in certain areas. Certain areas will get really bad. It's always crazy because I play so many games with this CPU and this CPU just chills, but this one is like, how dare you think you can play this? Very CPU intensive. It makes no wonder.
He's part of the Golden Order. Just how did they find the valley? Nobody should have known of me coming here. What happened while I was unconscious?
Just to get some alleviation, I've capped it to 60 FPS, but it won't matter because it's just not optimized well. I'll say it. I'll say it. I can make the argument. It's just not optimized well. The game just isn't optimized well. It just isn't. No matter what I do, this is how the game will perform. It's not performing well. Why was my rendering skill not using 100%? Oh, it changes based on... Well, that can explain... That actually explains it, actually, then. Because it's better when I put the rendering skill, but it still won't stay consistent. Even when my GPU is working harder. It's crazy. Yeah, this unfortunate stuff, man. And these are a lot of settings are on ultra, things that don't affect anything. I'm curious if effects affects anything, so what I'll do after this video, I'll actually change everything to low and then start the game again and see what happens. If I can actually play it better, I'll actually come back and bring it back around, but I doubt it. I keep effects on low. I'll bring it back, but yeah, I doubt it'll do make any difference. This seems hardwired, but this is playing better now. It's playing smoother now that I have the GPU working a bit harder. Now that the GPU is working a bit harder. Yeah, so I'll see you guys next time. I'll check it right now and see, but this is probably the way to do it with these settings here. It does seem to run smoother with these settings. The CPU seems to be a little bit better off here, but other than that, you gotta be careful, man. This crap is really intense for some reason or another. Not even fully utilizing 100 watts. That's the interesting part.